It is time for This Week in Location-Based Marketing, episode number 80, June 3rd, 2012. On the show today, Wi-Fi blocking wallpaper. Verizon makes a $612 million bet on Hughes Telematics. Groupon gets into the food ordering business. And we loves our Guinness even more with the QR codes. Plus, our special guest, Mark Hemphill of ScreenScape Networks, and our resource of the week. All this and so very much more coming up right now. Welcome everybody to This Week in Location-Based Marketing. My name is Rob Woodbridge. With me, as always,
Asif Khan from the Location-Based Marketing Association.
Well, it's been a while since we introduced ourselves, so I thought we'd take a different approach today. Big show, big show. Welcome back, Asif.
We're 80.
We are 80 years old.
Yeah. Some days I feel
Today's one of those days that I do feel 80. I feel like I'm like a little crotchety today. I got some criticism from for one of my other shows, and it has stayed with me. I'm not sure why, but so
it's all right. It'll just roll off by the time we're done this, Rob. You'll be happy.
Yes, it will. It'll come out in this show. There's a little bit of venom in this show, but we've got a big one for you today, for you guys who are listening or watching. Lots going on, obviously, but we're going to start with two very important events that we would like to draw your attention to. The first is obviously an event that you are holding. The Location-Based Marketing Association is holding June 20th. What a week that week is going to be. Talk about that as we pull it up here on the screen. Asif?
Yeah, so we're hosting an event in Toronto called Check-In to Content, and really it's kind of an exploration of the non-check-in check-in, so to speak. The idea that location is wherever people are in front of whatever medium that that can influence them: television, radio, billboard, etc. And so we're going to explore that. We're going to have a really interesting panel with the CBC and Mediacom and CBS Outdoor and. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great discussion around content check-ins and how to engage people in a whole different way. So, if you can make it, June 20th in Toronto, all the information's on the LBMA site.
What's that, from 3 till 7 on June 20th? And that's over that's where? Right. Where is that located? That's at the KPMG in Toronto. Wow. Yeah. I think that's great. And then not close to 6 days later. 6 days later, you're going to be on the stage at the Glenn Gould Studio in Toronto on Front Street next to the CBC offices, talking about this great thing. I love it. I'm going to pull it up here. This is for Untethered Talks, obviously, but Asif is there, and he's got this great panel while he's doing a keynote called The Death of Geo. Dun, 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 The Death of Geo. And then he's going to sit down and be a part of a panel on that very topic around what is going on with Geo and basically the future of marketing is what we're talking about on this panel. Can't wait for that, Asif. I mean, I'm very excited to hear about this. Got a lot of response from people who are saying the death of Geo. The death of Geo. Controversial, man.
Well, you got to throw these titles out there, right? Get people thinking about what's this going to be all about. So,
well, I'm looking forward to hearing about it. That is that's June 26th and 27th in Toronto at the Glenn Gould Studio. Reach out at untetheredtalks.com. You can register there, and if you are a LBMA member, there is a discount code which I think is LBMA member, isn't it? 25% off the ticket.
Yes.
So just go to untetheredtalks.com and type that in, and you'll get a 25% discount off the ticket.
How much easier?
Pretty easy. All you have to do then is show up. Got a great lineup, but you'll be able to see that on untetheredtalks.com. What do you say? This was a big week. Again, lots of acquisitions, lots of talk. Certainly, consolidation is happening at a rapid rate, and there are companies out there, companies like Facebook and companies like Groupon that are just snapping up small companies. It is a great time to be an entrepreneur with a limited lifespan. If you're in this business for a year or 2 years, that's how long it takes for you to be snapped up. Typically, in this kind of climate. But we've got a lot of that. Why don't we start the show? We got our 5 stories. We're going to start the show with this great story. It's a couple of weeks old, but we vowed to bring this on because we love the creativity around what Guinness has done. So our first story is about the Guinness QR code magic appearing code. Is that a good way to introduce it?
No, absolutely love this. I don't know if you want to throw up the
I'm
photo
going
of
to do
it,
that
Rob,
right now.
but yeah, I mean, this is amazing creativity. It was done by BBDO in New York, which is their agency, and basically, QR codes are QR codes, and we see them, all over print and packaging these days. But to have a QR code basically etched into a glass, a Guinness glass, where the QR code only appears when the glass is full of Guinness, that's pretty cool. And the interesting thing is it doesn't work with any other beer. Apparently, you can't just pour, a Rickard's Red or any other beer into that. It's got to be Guinness in order to get the right black to make that QR code fill out, in the glass. And it's cool because so once it comes in there and then you scan this QR code with your scanner, you can get coupons, you can get you know. Access to certain promotions and merchandise. It automatically will tweet and update your Facebook and check you into Foursquare. I mean, it's doing it all just from scanning this glass. It's pretty cool.
This was when you showed it to me the first time. I thought, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And then my mouth started to water like it is right now. I don't know about you. If you're watching this right now, it's like, oh, Guinness.
Yeah. So if the Guinness guys are listening, or the BBDO guys in New York, please send Rob and I one of these glasses, because we will do it, and we will have it on the show, and we'll show it,
and we will drink it right on the show.
Drink it on the show.
I gotta tell you though that this is something that this is great creativity. It's a fluff piece, but this goes to show you that you can have fun with this technology. It doesn't always have to be boring, and I love the creativity on this. That's all we got, right?
Yeah. Well, I would say, it's and I've said this many times, but for the last 10 years we've talked about content is king, but it's shifting now, right? I mean, the content's important, but it's shifting to experience now. It's all about experiential marketing, and how do we bring the message to the people, and how's it packaged and delivered to them. And this is all about packaging and delivery, right? The content's still there. You guys still got to scan the thing and get some content in some form, but it's all how it's delivered to the consumer. So,
do you remember back in the day they used to have those pens that they were like the swivel naughty pens where you turn it upside down and the women's clothes would come off, right? That's what this reminds me of, is that the QR code appears, and when you pour the alcohol in it, and it used to be where you could actually swivel the stick and the clothes would disappear. So maybe I'm just old like that. That was back before they had porn on the internet, right? That's what we used to do back in those days. Yeah. Anyway. So
yes.
Way to go, Guinness. 2 thumbs up.
Nice work.
And now that I'm 7 shades of red deep, let's go into the second story here, which is a talk about old school, right? Let's throw away all our old technology, our new technology. We don't need smartphones. We don't need any apps. We don't need any other stuff in order to be able to manage our fleet or manage our workforce that's on the go. This is a company called Abaqus, partnering with a company called T-Mobile to manage fleet management. Let's talk about these guys.
Yeah, so this is T-Mobile's business solutions group, so the commercial side of T-Mobile. And if you're a business and you've got workforce management needs and fleet management needs, this is kind of an interesting service. So it's called My Geo Tracking from Abaqus. So T-Mobile's business sales group is going to be reselling this to various businesses, and effectively what they're doing is they're basically enabling you to track assets, track people, streamline workforce management, streamline timesheets, and know where your people are, and all this kind of stuff, all without an app, all without GPS. It works on any phone, feature phone, smartphone, doesn't matter. Cell ID and SMS, triangulation, all kind of weave together. So it's kind of a cool little package.
Something that I like, just simply because it shows that there is an infrastructure and technology that exists right now that allows you to do this with massive change in the technology that you're currently using, right? So smartphones They're great, but if you don't have them, you don't have to change this over. This is, as you said, this uses cell ID, cell tower triangulation. You can do a whole bunch of great stuff. Send SMS when you reach a geofence based on cellular triangulation. This is how they caught Pablo Escobar. This can help. You can use this to track your mobile workforce, right? If it can get Pablo, you can find Bill in your delivery truck and send him an SMS message. And that's why I like it. It's low tech. It's not low tech, but it's not fancy tech. It's existing technology that you probably have in your system right now. So it just goes to show you that you can implement mobile technology like this and location services like this to help enable your business with the technology that you've got. Doesn't require you to throw things out.
Yeah, from T-Mobile's perspective, this is a simple, probably easy, sort of layer of a revenue stream that they could just, quickly add on to what they're already selling. The commercial sales team can just go out and add this to the tick box. Would you like one of these as well? For tracking your workforce. It makes sense.
Well, good on them.
Cool.
T-Mobile. Well, and you'll see that because we have one of the funding stories, one of the acquisition stories we're going to be talking about is along the same lines with Hughes Telematics and obviously in Verizon. This is a big play. This is big business all of a sudden. Our third story. Here we go. TelMap opening up some APIs. TelMap. I like the story. Yes. It's simple.
Well, that's the theme for today. Is simple, right? it's
I am on the show.
Old school and low tech, but we are 80. Right?
So you're gonna keep it.
Things have to slow down once you hit 80. We can't always be flash all the time. But anyways, yeah. So they've released 2 new APIs, and this is about creating linkages between websites and mobile apps and navigation. And so we're basically connecting all this stuff together, which is kind of interesting because we don't always think about websites, and navigating or those two things fitting together. We talked, I think, a couple shows ago now. We talked about sort of Bing updating their maps. And so it's somewhat along the same lines, except here now we're talking about APIs that create linkages between what's happening on the website and to mobile companion piece. And so they've already done this with a couple of sites, so rest.co.il and toeat.co.il. So these are 2 big sites in Israel, restaurant guides and travel guide sites. And so the idea here is that you're on a website and you click on on a restaurant listing, and then you basically click a button beside it that says send to my GPS. It's called, and this is sort of embedded right on web pages. And then you enter your mobile number, and it sends it from the site to your mobile phone. Simple, functional, works.
That's what I like about it. And it's very simple. Is that I use Navigon, and this is along the same lines. Is that when I do a search in Google, and I click on the address, I can send it right to my Navigon. It'll open up. It'll launch that, and I like these services. But you're right, bridging the web space, because oftentimes I'll do my research on something like say on a Google map or on an app, and allowing me to send that to my device is a lot easier. If you've ever used these services like TelNav or Navigon, if you've ever tried to use these services to type in an address while you're driving when you're not supposed to be doing that, it's a pain.
Painful.
So
yeah, it's painful. And and I'm like you. I often will before I head out somewhere, I'll be on Google Maps and I'll be looking it up and all that. And then then what do you want to do? Like, you either print it out or you're like going to send yourself an email or something, right? And pulling it up on an email. That's what you do, right? As opposed to this, where you just click a button and it sends it to your phone and it's all there.
Yeah, it sounds very basic, but hey, nobody's doing it very well right now. So this is big news, and I think that once all of this is integrated into everybody else's stuff, I think that this is just another thing that you should be doing. But you should be doing this if you're a business. If you are a location business, a destination business, you should be doing this where it's integrating sending to SMS, sending to text, or sending by email. As an aside, I spent a lot of time running software companies, and one of the big things about software companies is getting people to download your software. So now you see it everywhere, where people are click to download or click to launch iTunes.
Yep.
But what if you're browsing this through a device that doesn't allow you to do that? There should be a way that says click to email me the link so I don't forget, so that I can download when I hit the desktop. It's the same thing here. Click to remind. Click, click, click to send me the address so that I have it in my inbox, that it's easy to integrate. You don't just want to keep them getting your address at that moment. If you want a consumer like me to build your business into my life, get you into my address book, and this is a good way of doing that, if you ask me. So I like these simple things because it can lead to so many great things. All right.
Excellent.
Story number 4. These are the Yellow Pages group. Yellow Pages launching a French version of their discount hunting software mobile app called ShopWise. Why is this so significant?
Well, I mean, I think first of all, if you're in the Canadian market, French is an important thing. It's an official language, so we should support it. I like it because for a couple of reasons. One is that it's not just about the French version. It's available on iPhone, Android, and BlackBerry, so that's good. But they've along with this sort of addition of the second language piece, they've added some new capabilities into the app as well. So I think we're on the same page. We're neither of us are huge fans of finding deals around me from a location perspective. But the idea of tracking stores that I like, being notified, push notifications around particular products or particular stores that I'm interested in. So the favorites kind of thing. So they've added all that capability into the app now. So I think that's good. And just quick little sort of side plug on this one. So LVMA is also hosting an event on Thursday, this coming Thursday in Montreal. YPG is going to be a big part of that as well. So I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more about ShopWise there. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I echo that very much. First of all, I love the fact that they're supporting the Location-Based Marketing Association. I think YPG needs to do that because obviously of their database and who they are. And the transition that's going on in the directory business is quite substantial, and they have to be in the middle of this. So, I love the fact that they've got this ShopWise app. I've downloaded it, and I guess it depends on your location. Because there wasn't a lot available when I downloaded it, and I think that's what they have to get over here, is that they have to bring more retailers in. We talked about this, and you mentioned it. I'm not a big fan of the serendipity by location. Hey, I'm here. What's around me? What kind of deals can I get? Yeah. And I don't think that that's the best way to do this. I like the fact that you can put stores into your favorites. But, the fact that I'm sitting at Starbucks and I just happen to launch the application doesn't mean that I'm interested in getting my tires rotated or getting a lube job or my nails done. So I think that that's the biggest challenge I have here. They're putting a lot of emphasis on location-aware coupons, and I think that they have to move away from that as a primary focus. But, multiple languages, multiple platforms, you can't go wrong with that. You need lots more stores, and you have to kind of move away from location and add context to it. And I think that they're trying to do that here, but I think the jury's out.
Yep.
But I like the fact that they're supporting you, so I'll give this a benefit of the doubt.
No, that's great. So yeah, if you're in Montreal on Thursday, come on out. Sold out event, but
come on out anyways.
Talk nicely at the door. Talk to me nicely at the door, and we'll see what we can do. Anyways,
I love it.
Yeah,
come on out and just hang out front.
Yeah, we'll set up a screen for the for people on the street. There you go.
All right, our fifth and final story of the day. This requires a video because you are not going to believe it. What will they think of next? Wallpaper that blocks Wi-Fi. I'm going to roll this, and then we're going to come back and have a good discussion on exactly how this differs from a good old-fashioned password. So here is Wi-Fi disabling wallpaper. Here we go.
So you thought your wallpaper was just good for looking pretty? researchers may have found another clever use. Scientists in France have invented a special kind of wallpaper that blocks certain electromagnetic waves. The wallpaper blocks Wi-Fi signals using a conductive ink that contains particles of silver. The wallpaper only blocks some signals though, and would allow AM/FM radio signals and emergency transmissions through, and it does not interrupt cell phone reception signals. The Grenoble Institute of Technology has released a prototype, hoping to make the wallpaper commercially available soon at an affordable price, comparable to mid-price home decor wallpaper currently on the market. British scientists came up with a similar product, but it was too costly for most, with a price tag of £500 per square foot. If you are worried about your neighbor or stranger accessing your Wi-Fi connection, this might be a good reason to invest in some high-tech wallpaper. Corporate snooping is also a concern, as companies developing mapping technologies or database for marketing purposes can get your personal information through your Wi-Fi connection.
I don't know. I don't even know where to begin with this. Invented in France. Some British scientists found the exact same thing, and they found out that they couldn't produce it for anything less than £500 a square foot. These guys are trying to bring it into the mid to upper tier of the designer wallpaper layer. I'm focusing on the wrong thing here, but I'm not really sure I understand why I would want to wallpaper my house with Wi-Fi protected wallpaper. I don't get it.
Yeah. So here's my take on this. I mean, I think the technology is really interesting. First of all, I think the application here is commercial, not residential, if anything. I mean, if you think about the challenges, for example, with that Best Buy has been having with showrooming, and we think about some of these kinds of things. If you think about commercial retail scenarios where we're blocking signals from coming in or going out, and you only have what's in the store all of a sudden. Now you can't showroom. There's no Amazon happening inside of Best Buy necessarily. So I think there's some interesting implications for this at that level. And it's not just Wi-Fi, by the way. So this is it blocks cellular and Wi-Fi, and it lets through radio waves and emergency transmissions. So it's it's smart paper from that perspective. So I mean, that's my take on it. I think there is a play here for retail in some senses. Movie theaters maybe, things like that. Could be interesting.
Yeah, I've often sat across the street from a Starbucks in a competitor's coffee shop and sucked off the Starbucks Wi-Fi. So maybe there is an opportunity there for reduced costs by actually really encasing the Wi-Fi from commercial locations. And I think maybe from a security standpoint, it makes sense. If you're in a highly industrialized or a highly secure facility, why not block any kind of Wi-Fi capabilities coming outside of it because of what you can sniff? And maybe that is something that you could do. It's an interesting technology that you can filter this kind of stuff through wallpaper, right? That's ultimately what it comes down to. It's paper, but it's paper. Wallpaper that blocks Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So I think at a commercial layer, the price point might not be so bad.
No, and I'm not worried about my neighbor sniffing off my Wi-Fi. I put a password on it, and it kind of eliminates that.
Well, it's not like you're not looking at porn on the internet, Rob. Like you've got the pen.
Exactly. That's right.
So, that can't be transmitted.
Exactly.
So there you go.
I still have a subscription to Playboy. Can you believe that? It's not even a digital one. I think the big thing here is also that my neighbors are 88 and older. We live in a slightly aged area, so they're not using Wi-Fi. In fact, Rogers here, it's our provider, is the fastest because nobody in my neighborhood is on the internet because they don't know what it is. So wallpaper that blocks Wi-Fi. I love science, and this is why this is a neat story.
It is cool.
Was it 5 cool. We got? Guinness. My favorite there was the Guinness QR code, by the way. It has to be.
Yeah, I love it.
It has to be.
Yeah. Guinness, please send us those glasses. We really want to try this out.
Or just send us some beer. Tetra packs of beer. That's what they've got to be able to do. Come on. All right, so listen, it's on to our conversation of the week that you sat down with Mark Hemphill. Why don't you talk about Mark and his company?
Yeah, Mark's a guy I've known for a few years now, one of ScreenScape, one of the first members of the LBMA, actually, going way back to when we started. And great company. I mean, this is a company that's in the sort of location-based digital out-of-home, digital signage business that have completely reinvented the sort of the paradigms around that from a business model perspective. So this is all about community-powered digital signage. So this is, you know, the local business, the local merchant throwing up a screen and putting ads on it and promotional pieces on it, and then you know, drawing pieces or advertising content in from other community businesses around them, and vice versa. So, you know, the local gym down the street can run ads for the gas station, and the gas station can run ads for the local gym, and all that kind of stuff. It's really kind of an interesting network model that they've come up with, and yeah, so great interview.
And you got to sit down. You got to sit down with Mark, and here it is.
Well, we're privileged yet again to be sitting down today with founder, chairman, and chief operating officer of ScreenScape Networks, Mark Hemphill. Mark, welcome to This Week in Location-Based Marketing. How are you?
Fantastic, Asif.
It's always great to chat with you, and you know, as we like to do with this this segment on the show, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about, you know, who is ScreenScape Networks? What do you guys do? What are you all about? You know, just give us some insight.
Absolutely. So we're a software company. You know, see ourselves as a real technology leader, and as you know, we build ourselves as an online service for engaging with audiences in real-world places. What that means is that we're very interested in helping businesses take advantage of place-based marketing. We take a fairly integrated approach, which I think would resonate a lot with your viewers in that sense. It's not just about digital displays, it's not just about the mobile device, it's not just about things like loyalty programs and customer service. It's about all those things, and while we absolutely cater to those people wanting to put up digital displays on location in their place of business, digital signage is one of the common applications of our technology, but we're really sort of a software company that's just more or less taken aim at an industry that was, you know, in our view, stuck in the 80s, sort of approaching the problem of place-based media through a broadcasting lens. And being internet software people, we sort of looked at this industry as one that could be streamlined and improved upon, and certainly the arrival of the internet, social media, location-based marketing, all these things coming together gives us all kinds of opportunities to do interesting things, particularly where it matters most, which is right inside a store where people are making buying decisions.
Great. And so, you know, maybe just to pick up on something you just said, you know, about sort of the inefficiencies and sort of streamlining, you know, the opportunity or, you know, some of the new technologies that have emerged. I mean, was there a particular gap or inefficiency that you saw in the market that you thought, you know, this needs to be addressed right now, and thus, you know, was born ScreenScape? Or, you know, is it just really an evolution of technologies that you saw emerging? Or, you know, so was there a hole, or was there, you know, more of an evolutionary thing?
There was just a mismatch, if you will, which what I have seen in the world of software, and what I you know, witnessed in the advent of digital signage and where it was you know, 2 or 3 years ago when we got started. You know, it starts with the customer and the ability to engage with customers with engaging and relevant content. You know, broadcasting is so antithetical to being able to execute content that's custom tailored and sort of relevant and intelligent for audiences wherever, you know, they might be. You can't really do that with broadcasting technology. But with the internet, of course, you can really cater to local tastes and preferences. You can actually execute content in a lot of different ways that distributes the cost and effort of doing so. So in a nutshell, we're making place-based media, speaking effectively to customers while they're visiting your place of business using technology. We're making that simple and cost-effective, and by doing that, we're opening up new kinds of channels, if you will, to the customer, new kinds of ways for an entire value chain to participate in a new marketing process.
Excellent. Can you give us sort of a a real example, potentially, how you've done this for a particular client, that you can share with us?
Yeah, well, let me start with some news which broke this week, which was Canadian Blood Service in Canada. You may know them as a former Red Cross nationwide company. We're talking about a not-for-profit, but we're also talking about a company that's a real service delivery company, the consummate service delivery company when it comes to having blood collection centers and appealing to the community when they need blood. And that's those kinds of appeals are very much a local thing. You need a certain type of blood in the East Coast here. You are going to look for obviously people in the East Coast, and they just bought a group license from us, which allows us to distribute video and do things like appeal to the public for donations to save lives by giving blood, and not just in the permanent blood collection centers, which is the obvious, those are their offices, but also through the ScreenScape community, places in our community, places like shopping malls and community centers and art centers, gyms, and so on and so forth. So they're keen to sort of get control of their own promotions using this technology, and also tap into the power of a network to distribute the cost and effort of getting that message out, number one, and number two, executing it in a way that's smart. So we're really pleased that Help Out There demonstrates what we can do. Of course, it's a not-for-profit example. The mainstream examples seem to all come from retail or retail marketing-minded people who either want to speak to customers at the point of sale or understand that there are key touch points in the process, the path to purchase process, if you will. And so, what's another recent example would be Procter & Gamble using our technology to take promotional videos they already have that they share through YouTube, and share them with the professional salon community, which is an obvious target or core audience of theirs. And so they can actually promote their new product lines, their new hair products, their new hair color, whatever it might be, with the subject matter experts, riding shotgun in the salon and speaking intelligently to whatever new product that Procter & Gamble might want to not just offer those professionals, but the people visiting those salons. So, and they're doing these things in concert with their loyalty programs, with their trade marketing initiatives. And so that's where you really see the applied, integrated, impact of these as a business-to-business service and as a customer engagement tool.
Excellent. All right. Well, I mean, last question for you. I won't keep you too long. You've been a member of the LBMA for a while now. I mean, you know our views on location-based marketing being not just about mobile, but really about integrating media around engaging people wherever they are. Obviously, you guys are a place-based media network. Where do you see the market going? I mean, if you were to get out your crystal ball and look kind of 3 to 5 years out, not so far in the future, but reasonable, around place-based media as an industry, and what can we expect from ScreenScape?
Well, it's actually never been a more exciting time for the convergence of this new technology, internet networking, social media, location-based marketing, and the place of business. I'll use an analogy. You can picture business environments in the 1990s with the dawning of the internet, and how the internet presented interesting new options for sharing of information, both inside the corporate network and outside in terms of the World Wide Web and all kinds of new internet technologies. You have, in the case of place-based media, you have companies that are using internet technology now on a private basis, and you have companies, especially those powered by ScreenScape, that are engaging with others through a meshing of networks. And it is very akin to those days when corporate networks all of a sudden went from that private sort of Lotus Notes proprietary network to the intranet, which, based on industry standards, allowed you to leverage new technology that made it easier for you to manage your own private information more effectively and publish information for public consumption. And the way that the internet has streamlined corporate communications and information sharing between employees and the management team and their customers, of course, is similar in the way the dawning of this new era of digital signage is starting to embrace the world of open standards. And we're seeing finally, moving from this broadcasting paradigm of closed proprietary networks to an actual internet model where it's a truly network-centric platform, and everybody can sort of benefit from a new network economics as the network scales. So I see it becoming easier and more cost-effective through those efficiencies, the efficiencies of this sort of true network-centric approach. Obviously, we're key proponents of that. ScreenScape has taken first aim at the distribution and deployment challenges that a networking model could solve, making it easier for single venues, what we call single venue small businesses, to get started, making it easy for the bigger networks to tap into those organic networks that are forming every day on our platform. I think the next chapter for us is to carry that forward and introduce that to new customers. But secondly, to look at the production process, the actual process of creating content, and do more there. We have some very interesting things coming out this summer that really assist in the creation of content, solving a lot of content management problems. And we do that both through sharing, many hands make light work, so tapping into a crowdsourcing model for the sharing of rich and dynamic content, but also through helping our group customers to sort of streamline and uniformly brand their networks through just creative sort of content creation and templates, fill in the blanks processes that are just so easy to execute a brand at a high level across a very distributed, very fragmented sales and marketing channel.
Great. Well, it sounds like exciting times are ahead, and certainly moving to more of a sort of internet network community model, I think, makes sense in this space. So really appreciate your time. Again, for our audience, we've been chatting today with Mark Hemphill. He's the co-founder, chairman, and COO of ScreenScape Networks. Mark, thank you so much for joining us today, and always a pleasure.
Steve, my pleasure. Thanks for everything you do, and let's do this again.
Cheers. Bye.
So that was Mark, and Mark, thanks for taking the time to sit with me this week and share with our audience a little bit about the business. Again, there's a lot there, and I think I encourage our listeners and viewers to kind of go check out ScreenScape Networks. So thanks, Mark.
And you can obviously find Mark and ScreenScape at screenscape.net. Yeah, we really appreciate Mark coming on and doing that, and there's some great case studies up there as well. Thanks, Mark. I love having guests on here. All right, let's jump into our funding and M&A news that is happening. This happened this past week. There are a number of them. It's surprising that none of them really involved Facebook. Maybe they took the week off, licking their wounds. But the first one is basically just an update on what Shutterfly is doing with the Kodak Gallery customers.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is a story that's been out for a little while now, but we're starting to see the numbers behind it. So they're basically Shutterfly paid $23.8 million for the Kodak Gallery business. So this is their online sort of digital photo service. Apparently, they've been running it for 12 years. I've never used it myself, but
neither have I.
Hey. As you go through bankruptcy, you got to start to shed these things piece by piece, and so this is one of the pieces. Apparently, they do 21 million in revenue from this, and so they're paying 23.8 million. So sounds like it's a fair swap there. Kodak's getting their piece out of that. But the interesting thing here is for Shutterfly is the database, right? I mean, that's what this is all about. So there's apparently 75 million accounts, people who have accounts in the Kodak Gallery. 5 billion images are stored in there. So there's a lot of data, a lot of people, and just an amazing database that Shutterfly is going to take advantage of. So that's the story.
Do you ever wonder, Asif? Like, I think we talked about this when we first broke this story about Shutterfly buying the Kodak Gallery, but do you ever wonder why Kodak is getting out of this business, which seems to be core in digital, with those kind of statistics? They're kind of staggering at a nascent industry where they've got actually a revenue model that's driving $21 million in revenue, billions of photos, all that data, 75 million customers. It just seems like, why are they shedding that?
It's Kodak. They don't understand it.
That's right.
Come on.
We're going back to print. We're gonna invest in a printer company.
Reinventing,
You know what? It just seems like Shutterfly is sitting back going, "Shh, don't talk about this anymore," because they might actually realize what they're giving up here, and shh, shh, shh. They want to keep it out of the media. Like it's like, shh, don't tell anybody about this, okay? Because if Kodak really understood what they had here, 75 million accounts, 75 users. Like, think about what Instagram was bought for with 30 million, a paltry 30 million users.
Oh, I know.
So it just seems like that Kodak is, on all accounts, making the wrong decisions. But maybe that's just, maybe we're not seeing it. But 75 million users, 5 billion photos, and already generating revenue from this? Let's pause for a second. If I had taps, I would play it.
Yeah.
All right, second story. Verizon spending $612 million acquiring this company called Hughes Telematics. Goodbye here. This is a goodbye.
Yeah, so we talked about T-Mobile earlier. Now we're talking about Verizon. The carriers are stepping up in the U.S. and getting, in both cases, we're talking enterprise plays here, not consumer plays. So Hughes is a company that is in the machine-to-machine communications piece, heavy in automotive, industrial engineering, a whole bunch of different applications around this. So this is a public company acquisition, $12 a share, $612 million in cash, and so again, this is workforce, fleet management, two-way wireless connectivity stuff, all kinds of enterprise solutions here in the Hughes portfolio.
This is a good buy. This is a good buy, and it's also a good buy simply because the shares, the Hughes Telematics shares are only trading at $4.15, and they got $12 a share. So the shareholders must be very happy about this. But it's also a great buy because telematics and what we're talking about here, what Hughes does, is a growing business. And if you look at what RIM has done in acquiring the QNX operating system, they're in cars already. They're doing this right now. And you talk about Ford, you talk about Microsoft being in Ford, the Ford Sync product, and then you talk about OnStar. All of this stuff is going to escalate or percolate into this space, and M2M, machine to machine, the Internet of Things. Certainly, these carriers have to get into this. They can't rely on the consumer for all of their revenue going forward, and it's going to become an even more competitive landscape as we go. As that screen, as the human dashboard extends from your home, your device, your work into your car, this is going to be huge. And boy, oh boy. This was a good buy, I think, by Verizon.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that Verizon shares went down 10% because they paid a premium for this. But as somebody said in one of the discussion groups that I was reading around this, was that people pay what they want to pay, right? It's like, you offer me this much money, I'll take it, and it's a value to them, and I think that this makes sense. So T-Mobile partner.
Except for when you're Groupon and you don't take it. Yeah.
Exactly. $6 billion. We don't want to talk about that. But T-Mobile partnering with Abaqus, and I think that Verizon acquiring Hughes Telematics, it's the same. Maybe RIM was onto something when they bought the QNX operating system, because it is in cars. It's in high-end cars and the space shuttle or the space station.
Don't worry. Somebody will be buying RIM.
Somebody will be. Yes. Who knows who? All right, Verizon acquiring Hughes Telematics for $612 million in cash. That's a 3 times premium on the trading shares at or the price that Hughes Telematics was trading at $4.15. Good deal. Take it. I love people who take the money. Yeah.
Yes. All for that.
Our last funding story. It's an acquisition story again. It's this is a company called Groupon. Heard of it? Groupon? Coupon company. Actually, who seem to be accelerating in their revenue and making people happy, and they want to be basically the operating system for local commerce. That's their new tagline. And in the vein of local commerce, they bought a company called Breadcrumb. I'm going to play a video here about what Breadcrumb is. Then we're going to come back and have that conversation about what this means for Groupon, if anything. Here we go.
Meet Breadcrumb, a better way to run your restaurant. With Breadcrumb, it couldn't be easier. Need to rearrange tables? Just edit and drag. Order in here, and Breadcrumb updates and prints in here. Set up printer groups to run your restaurant your way. Instant search to find what you need. Just tap and type. Fire courses and keep track of tables' progress in real time. Customize orders and tap to void or comp. Breadcrumb responds elegantly and intuitively. Print or email receipts to your customers. Accept cash or credit cards. Even deliveries with instant address recall. Working in a high-speed venue? Breadcrumb keeps up with quick serve. Repeat orders and accept payment with just a few taps. Breadcrumb. Find out what it can do for you. Restaurants rejoice.
Well, so that's Breadcrumb. It's a point-of-sale system for restaurants and bars.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I think this is an interesting thing here because, you know, Groupon is, you know, obviously the restaurant segment is a big segment for them. You know, I don't know what the percentage is per se, but a lot of the deals I see on Groupon, you know, are definitely restaurant focused. You know, Groupon is, as a public company now, has to be much wider in their scope than just, you know, here's the deal. And so they've certainly been, you know, taking lots of strides there. They've been acquiring companies like crazy, like Facebook. You know, they're sort of following that. You know, they bought Uptake, they bought HyperPublic, they bought AdCo. They, you know, so they're, you know, so they got e-commerce plays, they got travel plays, they got restaurant. They're buying competitors, you know, small localized deal sites. But you know, at the end of the day, we can push all the deals we want. We still have to deal with the redemption issues, right, at point of sale. And so Breadcrumb is a player there. We don't know what kind of numbers Breadcrumb was doing. I have no idea. We know Groupon was working on iPad solutions as well on their own. So maybe they just said, hey, you know, enough's enough. Let's just grab these guys. They've got a nice clean one, and let's go with that. And we'll see what happens. And the Breadcrumb solution isn't only you know, for payments. It's got you know, workforce scheduling, time clocks, payroll tools for employees in those restaurants, all that kind of stuff as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, you're a little bit more optimistic on this than I am. Is that I think that there's a difference between what Groupon's business is now, even as a facilitator to commerce, which I think that they do have to get in, and they're moving towards that. But this is a POS. I mean, I worked in the restaurant years ago. It's my fallback position when I get many more of these criticisms from viewers where I have to decide that I'm going to quit this. But it's a weird thing because it's competing with Squirrel and the likes of all these other technologies that are already embedded in these in restaurants. And I don't know that it moves Groupon closer to the customer. For these select restaurants, it might, but you know, it's only one play. So what's their reach? I don't know.
Yep.
Right. So
yeah,
this is an interesting play. I'd rather be. it's the same thing that we're talking about, Facebook creating a phone. I'd rather be a platform on somebody else's phone, on everybody else's phone, than to limit it to just one phone. At this point, it's the same thing here, is that I'd rather, if I'm Groupon, I'd rather be playing in everybody's system, tied into everybody else's system, so that I can get into their customer base, than to create my own silo and then only have my customers. I don't get this play. This is different from their business. This isn't a transaction enabler. This is literally, I'm in a restaurant, I make my order to a server, they go to a computer, an iPad, and type it in so that this sends the order to the kitchen and the bar, and then prints up the receipts, right? Like, what has that got to do with what business Groupon's in? And maybe, again,
well, it doesn't have anything to do with the business that they're in today. But like, that's what I guess what I'm trying to say is, if I can put a little bit of a optimistic spin on this, is that when you're a public company, you need multiple streams of revenue. You can't just have one thing that you do. You've got to have multiple businesses running and multiple product lines, and so if this is one, and they've said in this statement, Breadcrumb will continue to operate as a standalone product offering in the marketplace. They're not shutting it down. So
this is a software play. That's what it is. You're going to go in there and you're going to sell this as software to other restaurants. Like, this is such a departure that I would be scratching my head to the value. And I think I read somewhere, is this like a $15 to $20 million deal? Is that roughly what it was?
Yeah.
It's small. Yeah. It's a small deal, but again, you're now selling software to restaurants, which the margins are notoriously crappy. And does this move any kind of business forward, or does it take a step back? I don't know. I don't get this. Somebody explain this to me. You've done a good job of saying that they have to differentiate, but I say that, look, differentiate into a growth industry where there's revenue to be had that complements your existing skills. Don't make such a departure and go and sell software into restaurants, because if you've ever done that, it's not an easy thing to do. And that's why I just don't quite get this. But then again, I am 80 episodes old today, and I could be slow. All right, those are the stories. Shutterfly, Verizon with Hughes Telematics, and Groupon acquiring Breadcrumb. It looks like a very cool tool, by the way, Breadcrumb does. Go to, what is it? The URL's breadcrumb.something. How's that?
Breadcrumb.
It's Breadcrumb POS. Just do a search for Breadcrumb and Groupon, and you'll be able to find it, and you'll see that video. The only thing left... what was it?
BreadcrumbPOS.com.
BreadcrumbPOS.com. The only thing left between you guys who are listening and the end of this podcast is our resource of the week. Thankfully, we can put episode 80 to bed. FCC LBS report. What is this, Asif?
Well, we were waiting for the FCC to come out and basically, put out some sort of statement or view on privacy and location-based services. They have. So they've released this report, it's a typical, lot to read, not a lot of substance. I read it. It's available on the LBMA website under the research tab. So if you want to go get it, you can get it there. But I'll just read the one paragraph here of note in the sort of opening statement. So this is what they say. So they say that private companies, I'll skip ahead here. Meaningful consumer choice. Consumers should have an opportunity to tell a company what it can and cannot do with their information. The FCC has noted that most choice is provided as opt-in, i.e. the user must consent before the information is used. But that challenges arise between real-time meaningful choice and user experience. Industry standards such as the CTIA are identified by the FCC as providing guidance on consumer choice. So it's a lot of words to basically say, give the consumer choice and tell them what you're doing and share your privacy policy. We already knew that, guys. Thanks, but hey, the FCC has come out and said it, so it must be law now.
Yeah. Lots of words. It sounds like me speaking. Lots of words and very little coming out of it. But they have to address this, and I suppose this is the way that they're going to do it.
No, they should. I'm not saying they shouldn't be putting this stuff out there. They should be putting this out there because they're the FCC.
Just do it in English.
Yeah.
Well, you can find this. Where can they find this? Is at thelbma.com/research. It's the top story. It's the top link there. It's called the FCC, an overview of opportunities and other considerations for location-based services. I'll just pull it up on the screen in case you did. You know, it's even got the official FCC logo on the top. It's real, and there's not a. It's completely void of graphics and color, so it's totally FCC, right to the business. All right, go check it out. If you have any comments on that, you know, if you're going through it, if you work for the FCC and you're listening to this, well, good. You might be learning a few things. But if you've read through this, you know, we'd love your comments on this or any of the stories that we've got here. I would love it if you could provide some clarification on why Groupon would acquire Breadcrumb. Bring it to the comments, please, or send me an email or send a Sif an email. You can reach me at untethered@gmail.com, sif@thelbma.com, or just at us on Twitter, at Rob Woodbridge or at Asif R. Khan. And I'd also like to know, what was the other one? The wallpaper that blocks Wi-Fi. What are your thoughts on that? You think that this is something that you would use? You think your companies would use this? Is just an overkill? Is this an effective use of technology, or is this just cool science? I'd love to hear that. And remember, if you are Guinness, drop us a line. We would love to test out those cups for you. We'll do it on the air. We will.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Well, that is episode number 80 of This Week in Location-Based Marketing. We will be back for 81, provided that we can remember what day and time it is, in fact, on as we get up in the ages. If you have any comments, if you have any suggestions, if you have a company that you think that should be on here, if you are a company that has been acquired or is about to be acquired or has had some financing and you'd love to be featured here in the location-based marketing world, reach out, untether@gmail.com or asif@thelbma.com. We love the feedback that we're getting. Keep it coming. We will continue to do this as long as we get one piece of feedback a week. So if one day you don't get this, you realize that we didn't get any feedback that week and we are shutting it down. Yes. You can find asif@thelbma.com. You can find me at untether.tv. Show up in Toronto on June 20th to the LBMA event at the KPMG office. Show up on June 26th and 27th at Untethered Talks at the Glenn Gould studio. There's no excuse if you're in this business for you not to be at either of those events. If you need a coupon for mine, just use LBMA member. You will get a discount, a 25% discount. But if you have any questions about those, you know how to reach us. Right, Asif?
You do.
We'll see you next week.
Over and out.
Everybody. Thanks for watching.